Sorry ass DJ.
Hey everybody, how you doing out there? And welcome to another ranking video of Ranking the Victims' Deaths. I am on Friday the 13th, part 6, Jason Lives. And I will definitely say, out of all of the deaths in this particular movie, there's a lot of much better deaths in this one than what we had in part 5. We actually have 18 deaths, but it's going to be 15 spots, because just like with part 5, I believe it was in part 1, we actually had 2 people who got killed very quickly. Even though it was 2 different weapons, and maybe I could have actually separated them there just to maybe stretch out the video a little longer, but that's not how I did it. But with this one, we actually have 3 people who die very quickly, and then we have 2 people who die very quickly. And I thought, you know what, instead of kind of doing them separately, especially because it's all by the same weapon, this will be a 2-parter here, and hopefully the way that things are going to go is I'm going to go from 15 to 8 in this part 1, and then part 2 will be 7 through 1. So let's get ourselves started. So number 15 is going to be Stephen and Annette. They're actually out in the woods and they're having a picnic at night. And the thing was that, of course, he pretty much is getting out. He wants to get himself laid. But then at one point, he actually tries to do reverse psychology on her. It's the 80s. It's an 80s horror movie. Of course, it's actually going to work. So the thing is, they start making out. But then they hear a noise because Jason is actually taking someone else out. So the guy says, please hang on. And he sees Jason about to stab someone. And then Jason looks and starts going towards him while he's running. He grabs his day and they both end up making it to a motorcycle. She's like, what's going on? We got to get to the sheriff's office or something, like he said. And then Jason just, boom, just uses the machete and stabs both of them in the stomach or the chest. And then a little bit of blood comes out of their mouth there. And my thing is, the reason why I have them at the bottom is, well, not only are they idiots, I just felt like that they didn't really need to be in this movie. Number 14 is actually going to be the other one where we got 3 people, and their names, if I am correct, is Larry, Stan, and Katie. Now, they're actually out in the woods with 2 other people that we'll get to later on, and they're actually at, it's a company, it's an executive company retreat, and they're actually playing paintball in the woods. Makes sense. Sounds like something they've done for a very, very long time. You got the 2 guys, Larry and Stan, and they're kind of bickering back and forth, and they're thinking that, oh, all we have to do is get one more person, and that's it. So all of a sudden, you get the woman, Katie, who comes out of nowhere and shoots the 2 guys with the paintballs in the chest there. And they're thinking that she actually got it by another one, and it's like, no, she never did. She turns around and says, you see any paint on me? They have to put on these headbands that say dead. Kind of funny. So what they're doing is they're actually walking towards the camera, and then all of a sudden we get Jason that jumps down from a tree branch. And, you know, he's like bringing out his machete, and, you know, each individual person, like, they'll show the machete, they'll show one of the characters with their look and the machete and go back and forth there. And then Jason just chops off all 3 of their heads there, and you get like a little bit of blood. You don't even really see the heads fall off. You just get like a little bit of blood like shot at the camera, and that was it. But I really do think it's a really bad death. Number 13 is going to actually be one of the head camp counselors, and that's going to be Paula. After so many people have kind of disappeared, and she starts kind of trying to comfort one of the little girls. She's very scared, thinking, you know, Paula thinks that this girl had like a nightmare and doesn't realize that she has seen Jason. So the thing is that she's in her cabin, and all of a sudden she's just kind of standing there. Then the door blows open, and she kind of gets a little scared. She slowly starts walking towards the door. The door actually shuts by itself, and then it kind of creaks back open. Then she kind of goes towards the door, and then Jason actually pretty much like pushes the door open and shuts the door, and you hear Paula screaming. Then all we get is like a kind of almost like a bucket of blood that splashes on one of the windows, and then all of a sudden we get Paula's body going like halfway through the window there. Jason grabs her and pulls her back in. But I feel like that as much as there's some cool things about it, it just feels like that it probably should have not taken as long as it actually did. So we had to stretch out like another, 20, 30 seconds of Paula to live. I'm like, nah. That's why I have her more at the bottom. Number 12 is Roy. Now, when I was talking about the head chopping 2 spots ago, you see Roy and he's like shocked at what just happened. And Jason was going towards Roy. Roy actually shoots Jason in the chest with a paintball. Stop Jason for like a moment. He looks down and sees it's just like, oh, okay, it's not like a bullet and all that there. I mean, he's already zombie Jason in this. A paintball's not going to take him out. But I just kind of like the look, and it starts going towards Roy, and then Roy's just kind of zigzagging all over the woods and saying, he's going to kill me, help, help. Just the way he actually says the line there, or those lines, I just thought was really, really funny. Then we get the aftermath later on, where we actually get the deputy and we get Sheriff Garrett. They actually see the dead body, and the thing is, the deputy's holding up glasses. Is that all of a sudden they show a couple different body parts, like one leg. They show, I think, his arm and hand, and I think they show the goggles, I think it was. But and I think, again, that's actually a pretty good death, because I really think from here on is really good. But the reason why I still have it real low is I completely forget about Roy. After he actually shoots Jason with a paintball gun and he starts zigzagging and saying about he's going to kill me, when they show the dead body, I completely forget that it's actually him. I still think it's cool. I think it's sort of gory. Number 11 is going to be Bert. Now, he's the final person from this company treaty thing here. So the only thing that we get with this guy is he actually is screaming and yelling pretty much to himself about, oh, she tricked me and all that there. And he has the machete and he's chopping down some branches and all that. And he's doing this like 2, 3, 4 times. And like, oh, she tricked me and she should stay in the kitchen and blah, blah, blah. Jason grabs his wrists where he has the machete. He just throws this guy and his face hits a tree, and then whenever his face leans over, you get kind of a bloody smiley face. I thought that was really, really funny. Now, even though I have it low, it's just because we don't know much about this guy. He's just another very easily throwaway character to kill. But I will admit, I feel like I'm one of the few people in the world that like the bloody smiley face after that there. I just think it's great. Number 10 is Officer Thornton. Now, when we get with this guy, him, the sheriff, and another officer that when we get to him, I'm going to call him Officer Handsome, and I'll explain why. So the thing is, with Thornton, they're all at, Camp Forest Green, but it's Crystal Lake there. So you get the Officer Thornton, and he's actually on the deck, and he has the flashlight, and he's kind of doing this. He finally spots Jason, and as soon as he's about to get his gun out as fast as he can, Jason throws something at him, and I didn't even know what it was. Something that went into his forehead, and then actually I had to look it up on Google, and it turned out it was actually a dart, and the guy actually flies into a boat that's actually tied up to the dock there. And even though it's a very quick death, I think it was a great death. I really do like the stunt. Number 9 is going to be Officer Handsome. So the reason why I'm calling him that is there's about 1 or 2 scenes where he's actually looking at himself in a mirror or the window of the car, and he kind of keeps like pushing his hair back and all that. And one of the other officers, might have been even Officer Thornton, actually saying, come on, Handsome. So with Officer Handsome, he actually is like, he sees that the bushes are shaking, thinking someone's actually there. So he's about to pull out his gun. He eventually pulls out his gun and says, look, I told you once, I'll tell you again, come on out, this is the last time. You get the little girl that Paula was taking care of and saying, hey, you just had some nightmares. So the little girl is like grabbing onto the cop's leg and all that. Then he kind of crouches down and says, everything's okay. What are you doing out here and all that? You should be in bed or be a lot safer and all that. It's like, no, there's some man coming after me. And it's like, who are you talking about? And Jason comes out of the bushes there. Actually, the guy shoots Jason a couple times while the little girl runs away, and so he gets at least a couple rounds off there, even though it's not going to do much, and Jason gets up to and crushes his skull, and I just really like it. Number 8 is going to be Sissy. She's another camp counselor who seems like she's a really good friend of Paula's. She actually is just kind of hanging in the cabin there. Paula's actually trying to take a nap. She hears a noise and she's like, hey, who's out there and all that? Paula wakes up and says, hey, what's going on? She's like, I don't know, I hear a noise. And Paula's like, well, it might be Court. That she's like, all of a sudden she just goes right back to bed. Paula, so Sissy grabs a can of pop and she starts dumping it out the window thinking it's going to hit, Court, and it's actually going to be him. She steps away from the window and she's waiting and nothing's going on. So she walks close to the window again and Jason grabs her by the shoulders and just yanks her out the window. She's screaming. Paula wakes up again, and then Jason just actually, in a 180, just breaks her neck there. And I do like this death. I wish there might have been a little bit more gorier, but while he's actually turning her neck, her eyes start going up in the back of her head, and I thought that was a really good practical effect.
Sorry, it's DJ.